Library.
Good morning, welcome to the meeting of the Licensing Act Subcommittee. I'm Louise Prince, Solicitor Advising the committee. This meeting is being live streamed and recorded. Video and audio of the meeting and the paper shown will be publicly available on the Council's website after the hearing. At the start of the meeting, I will ask members of the committee, officers and those making representations to introduce themselves. Everyone that speaks during the meeting is asked to introduce themselves each time they speak so that those listening know who is speaking. To ensure that those watching the live stream can hear, could all participants ensure that they switch their microphone on prior to speaking? You may know that Councillor Roy Aldcroft was originally due to sit on this hearing, but he has tendered his apologies and Councillor Chris Schofield is present as his substitute. Before we start, can I ask that everybody has their devices on either silent or switched off? Thank you. If I can ask members to introduce themselves, please.
That's Councillor Nigel Lumbey, who represents Albright.
Councillor Peter Broomall, representing the Wen Division.
Councillor Chris Schofield, representing Oswestry East.
Thank you. And then officers, please.
Public Protection Officer Ross O'Neill, looking licensed to comment.
Tim Ward, Committee Officer.
And then those making representations, please.
Neil Stiles from Harrison Clark Rickaby's, acting on behalf of the applicant.
James Killick, Operations Manager, Running Press.
Now turning to the items on the agenda. Number one item is the election of chair. Please can I take nominations for the position of chair for this meeting?
I will propose Councillor Nigel Lumbey.
Thank you. Second, please.
And I'll second that.
Thank you.
Okay, that's me. The committee has read and considered the representations and evidence submitted by all parties in relation to the application. Therefore, presentations should be succinct and kept to a brief summary of key points. There is no need to read out written representations or reiterate the details of written representations at great length. The Chair will intervene if it is felt that presentations are becoming overly long or going off track or do not relate to the application being considered. The procedure for the hearing has been sent to you prior to the hearing. In general, we will aim to keep to this order of business to ensure the timely and fair conduct of the hearing for all parties. If it's felt necessary during the course of the hearing, the committee may make the decision to deviate from the procedure. This is at the committee's discretion. There are opportunities throughout the hearing for each party to ask questions of others following their presentations. Please ensure that you use this opportunity to ask questions only and not to make any further points or statements. It is for the Chair to decide if questions are appropriate and relate to the matter in hand. Any behaviour considered to be disruptive by the Chair may lead to parties being muted or asked to leave the hearing. Does anybody have any questions regarding the hearing process or how the hearing will be conducted? Have any representations been withdrawn, Ross?
No, Chair, 2 representations, 2 outstanding still.
Okay, thank you. And so would any parties present like to withdraw their representations? Well, you're not like to, are you? I've got to say it as soon as I said it, I realised. Yeah. Does any party have any evidence not already submitted which they would like to put forward for consideration? Please be aware that this can only be done with the agreement of all other parties present and the subcommittee, and may necessitate the hearing being adjourned so that it can properly be considered by all parties of the subcommittee.
No further evidence from me.
Thank you. Members are reminded to disclose any pecuniary interest in any matters to be discussed which is not included in the register of interest. If, following the declaration of an interest, any party feels a member's decision-making may be prejudiced, they should make it known. The hearing may then need to be adjourned so the committee can be reappointed. I've not got any.
No.
Okay. So if the licensing officer then can present the report.
Thank you, Chair. So I'm Ross O'Neill, Public Protection Officer working in the licensing team responsible for today's report. So you're here to consider a full variation application for the Midland Mermaid, which is in Abbey, Shrewsbury. It's been applied for by Brunning and Price Limited. On my report, you'll find appendixes A and B, our photographs and a map to help set you scene. The premises operates as a hotel and restaurant, and it's situated in Abbey, which is approximately 4 miles out of Shrewsbury. It runs adjacent to the River Severn and has residential properties to the east. The premises currently has a premises licence for supply of alcohol 10 a.m. in the morning till 2 a.m. the following morning, which is Monday to Sunday. It's got 24-hour supply for hotel residents for consumption on and off the premises. And it's also got the addition of late night refreshments, live music and recorded music for indoor activities until 0100 hours daily. Appendix C and D of the report are the current licence and plan for you to consider. So this application is to 1, extend the licensable area and include the external dining terrace and all the rooms. 2, to include the adjacent grounds for portable bar services. And 3, to remove all Annex 2 and 3 conditions on that current licence. The proposed conditions to be removed are within paragraph 6.4 of my report, while the new identified conditions to replace them will be found in 6.5. Appendix E and F of the full variation application are the new and proposed plan. So during consultation, there were representations received of police and training standards in relation to CCTV, drugs and children's safety concerns in relation to the Challenge 25 policy. As per paragraph 7 of the report, conditions have been agreed and both the police and training standards withdrew their representations during consultation. There are no representations of responsible authorities. 2 other persons with representations, their main concerns in relation to the times and the outside alcohol sales and the regulated entertainment. And you'll find Appendix G is a location map and Appendix H and I are their representation applications in full. So since submitting this report as well and the agenda, there is supporting information has been received of one of the other persons along with 2 new additional conditions proposed by the applicant. These should be available in your agenda separately to my report. So to clarify, it's a full variation application to extend the licensable area and remove and add new licensable conditions. So why are you here today? You're here to consider and determine the application, and to do this you must give appropriate weight to the steps that are necessary to promote the full licence objectives, any representations and supporting information, the 182 guidance of the Licensing Act 2003 and Shropshire Council's licensing policy 2019 to 2024. You then may refuse to grant the application or grant the application with or without conditions in full or in part. Your decision must be justified and provide supporting evidence after to all involved, and the decision can be appealed within 21 days of persons receiving the notice from myself. That's it for me, Chair.
Thank you. You will now have an opportunity to ask any relevant questions of the licensing officer. So I'll do applicant first and then the committee.
No further questions at this time.
Thank you. Committee, any questions?
This time.
The one question I've got, Ross, is that the police recommendation was for CCTV to be in all rooms.
Yeah, that should be all rooms, Chair. That should just be public areas where the alcohol takes place. So the rooms
Not the bedrooms.
shouldn't be in the bedrooms.
So that needs perhaps making clear. You did say public rooms.
I will double check that, but it should just be worded to the fact there's public locations. The reason for the room to be licensed is because of some mini bars and the appropriation definition of the licence now.
And I noticed it says all internal. Will there be any external CCTV? Because there is a shift to using the mobile bars, serving and consuming outside, but that's not covered by CCTV.
If it's not been put forward by the police, it's not in the representations, then that's not being considered by them. But again, that's a question that
Chair,
potentially you could ask.
I was going to say, I wonder if that's a question to put to the applicant when we get to
Okay,
that point.
yeah. Okay, thank you. So there are no other persons to make, the applicant present their case. They skipped you then, that would have been their favourite.
Thank you. We transferred the licence in June 22, and we've been undergoing a vast refurbishment of the premises and the application is simply to show the new layout includes the demise of the whole of the outside area as well, because we wasn't sure whether that was originally included on the old licence and all the rooms. So there's no grey area then, it covers everything. The removal of all the conditions, I've redrafted the conditions, offered some more modernised conditions, so they should be more enforceable, easy to follow, and it should be better now for the type of licence that we intend to operate. The hours we haven't touched, other than we would like to commence the sale of alcohol from 8 AM with breakfast only for non-residents. Obviously, if residents are allowed to be sold alcohol 24 hours a day, not that it happens very often, but we have that. Obviously, that's on the licence already. And then everything else is literally changing the layout of the premises. We've removed the entertainment facilities that they had previously for the function rooms. We don't intend to operate function rooms. I know it used to have weddings. We're not having weddings there anymore, so it will completely be dining and residential. The use of the outside areas is obviously it's a trend across the country now for people to have these external areas since COVID. It's obviously it's weather permitting, but with the old external terrace at the front, we've also got a new one proposed around the side, which we believe is a much nicer place to sit anyway. People will be more spread out, so causing less noise disturbance to neighbours. I just think it'd be a nicer place to be. Really. Right. And we also wish to have, on occasion, use of a pop-up bar on the riverside, preferably, which will just help with congestion to bars and just be. It's just a nice offer for the customers. So the company itself operates nearly 80 pubs across the country. They are very nice, well-run, respectable premises that usually offer food as their main business. And I think you have 4 residentials. Yeah, I think that 4 of them are hotels as well. Only 2 of those have any form of wedding ceremonies and event spaces. So yeah, I would just like to grant the application as we've applied, and we've offered some additional conditions, obviously with the police, the training standards, and the other representations. But we believe that we've covered all aspects within the application itself. So, do you have any questions of either myself or my client?
Okay, thank you. So, licensing officer, have you got any questions?
Yeah, just one question, just to clarify what the chair said before. I've got some full of the original conditions proposed by the police, so just to confirm really this has been agreed. So the wording for CCTV is that it includes any external areas used for licensable activities or where seating is provided.
CCTV will cover all public areas, including external areas as well. It won't cover the rooms, obviously, but it will cover all normal public areas.
Thank you.
So, committee?
I've got one question, Chair. How will the contact number, that you put on the immediate neighbours, how would that be resolved? I mean, if they say there's a load of noise.
So we met with one of the residents and to explain the application we put forward, and we said that they could have somebody will always have there'll be one phone number that is always on site. Whoever is should we say, the night manager at the time has that phone number, and we've offered to give that directly to the residents if there was any problems they can call that number at any point in time. Also myself, they have my number and also my property manager's number. So if there was ever a problem, there's 3 people they can contact at any point in time.
So who would make the decision if the noise was excess? Or?
Well, in terms from our business itself, I mean, like I say, Stuart, who is the actual manager there, has been with us for 15 years. He's a very experienced manager. From that point in time, we don't operate loud venues. They're much more food-led, calm venues at that point in time. If there was anything that became that we feel was noisy or disruption, then that would be obviously they would either be asked to leave or the noise would be dispersed. If we had a complaint from one of the residents, then of course that would be acted for as well.
Yeah, it's just Peter. A question about the mobile bar. You were just going to have it across by the river. You weren't going to have it in the other open space.
No, the idea was across the river because that's far away from the actual where the sale of alcohol normally occurs in the bar, and that's more to kind of control the area at the moment. In all honesty, it's a popular area for people going through there. Prior to purchasing the property, when we were looking at it, it was I don't want to say lawless, but there was people who aren't patrons of the pub itself camping out with cans, and actually if we can control that, and we feel that would be a better environment for the residents and the people of Attingham as well.
Would you use waitress or waiter service?
Yes.
In those areas?
Mm-hmm.
Right, thank you.
So going to the area down by the river, would that be controlled by CCTV or would it be on the mobile, which would be quite sufficient if it was on the mobile bar, or are you going to have its own CCTV?
CCTV covering from the side of the building would be able to cover the side of that area there.
Right, okay, yep. Thank you.
That area does flood sometimes.
Yes, it does.
Sometimes you wouldn't be able to use it, but.
No, obviously they're pretty brave if you be out in the water that.
One of the representations talked about parking and that it could cause a nuisance because there weren't enough parking spaces. That being addressed at all?
We currently have, I think it's 78 parking spaces that we've got on site. We're going to lay out better. The old car park there's no lines, there's no parking spaces, so we've put all the bays on, so it's more defined. The village hall have kindly offered to rent a space as well if it's ever that busy. But we think that we've probably got enough parking.
With regard to your outside sales, yes, you'll have your licence till 1 or 2 a.m. But is there any during the summer that you're going to go that late selling alcohol outside, or what's the pub thinking on that?
I can't see it at the moment, but we've offered a condition that all licensed activities will cease at 11 p.m. in the external areas.
I didn't see that, Ross. Can you confirm that? Because that doesn't look as though it's in the condition.
It'll be under public nuisance, Chair. Let me just try and find it.
Because I'm more than happy that if it isn't in there to put it in.
It's condition 14.
So that's all the outside areas will cease till 11 o'clock, serving alcohol.
You found it, Ross?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, it's actually been put on the original application by Neil, so the use of the external areas, the license system will cease at 2300 hours.
I'm not sure that was in your report, so that'll be covered, will it? Because that's on the application, so we're happy with that.
Yeah, that's been proposed by the applicants. That'll be as long as you're happy, unless you want to add additional words or reword it.
Chair, sorry, it's on page 5 of the report.
Oh, is it? Okay. So we haven't got any of the people that made representations here today, so we can't cross-examine them at all. So is it right that we go to the closing part of it?
At the letter.
Can I just ask one quick question, if that's
Yeah.
all right? I'm not sure whether it's been
Sure.
covered or not. The outside bar area, how often do you anticipate that being up and running? Is it going to be like a summer thing, or when you've got particular events on, or?
It'll be more of a summer thing when the weather is nice and it's the weekend. You'd use it to alleviate pressure off at other areas, but it wouldn't be a 365 days a year operation.
Thank you. And then in terms of events at the premises, I know you said you're not going to be doing any weddings. Are you going to be holding any other form of event, or is it purely, it's a restaurant that has rooms now, I think?
Essentially, that is the business at the moment.
With regard to the New Year's Eve into New Year's Day, wanting that to roll over so there's no gap, what's your thinking about that? Because you are in a residential area.
That's already on the existing licence, which we inherited upon transfer. So we wasn't, in fact, we haven't touched the hours at all.
Okay. So it's time for closing remarks, really. So I'll go to the licensing officer first, in case you've got anything.
Thank you, Chair. Just to remind you why you're here today, so it's to consider and determine the application. To do this, you must give appropriate weight to the steps that are necessary to carry the four licensed objectives. Any representations and support information, the 182 Guidance to Licence Act 2003 and Shropshire Council's Licensing Policy 19 to 24. You then may refuse to grant the application or grant the application with or without conditions in full or in part. And the decision must be justified and provide supporting evidence after to all involved, and the decision can be appealed within 21 days of persons receiving the notice. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. An applicant?
Following the representation, we did meet with Anne and Emma Knock at site and showed them around. Tried to explain exactly how we're going to operate. Obviously, we're not going to have any form of live music or anything like that. There will be background music, which is incidental to the licensing act anyway. So yeah, we don't feel that we will be causing any disturbances to neighbours. So I think we've tried to cover every opportunity, every angle from their concerns, really. So yeah, I would just like you to grant the application as applied, really, with the additional conditions. So thank you.
Mr. Stiles, thank you. Are there any points of clarification the solicitor would like to make?
Thank you.
So we will now withdraw to deliberate and make a decision. The hearing will close and you can leave the meeting. All interested parties will be advised of the decision in writing within 5 working days of this hearing. The decision will be sent to you in the same way you communicated with the licensing team prior to the hearing. E.g., if you emailed your representation to the application, you will receive the decision by email. Any parties who feel aggrieved by the decision of the committee have the right to appeal to the Magistrates' Court. The appeal must be made in writing to Stafford Magistrates' Court within 20 days of the notice being received. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Just wait till one way.